My name is Jack Potvin, and I'm the founder of Project Happy.
Over 20% of teens experience depression. Suicide is the third leading cause of death among young people. And here in New Hampshire, we have the third highest opioid overdose rates in the country. And particularly with lasting COVID impacts, these numbers are rising. We are in an unhappiness epidemic. However, per studies by Harris Interactive and the United Health Group, 96% of people who volunteer say it enriches their sense of purpose in life, and 94% say it improves their mood. Today, only about a quarter of high school students volunteer in their community, and far less volunteer consistently.
Project Happy's powerful community software platform makes it easy for young people to do local good by simplifying and improving the student volunteering process. Here's, briefly, how our first version software product works.
A student simply enters their local zip code and the miles they're willing to travel to volunteer, filters by opportunity type, views local orgs, reads their mission statements, selects a role, and then simply signs up for an available time that works for them. It's really that easy. They can then view their upcoming opportunities and past events on this screen.
So we are Project Happy. The clicker is muted. Thank you. We're Project Happy. My name is Jack Potvin. Our COO is Nick Mokas, and our CTO, who leads product for us, is Gerry Donahue. Also on our product team is Sam, who's our lead developer. We have an extremely accomplished board of directors, including former party nominees for governor, multiple high-level serial entrepreneurs with significant exits, as well as a former engineer at Google, who's our lead technical advisor. The devastating problem that Project Happy solves is that 20% of young people experience depression today. And 25% of American teens in this past year reported feeling emotionally disconnected. And unfortunately, particularly with the lasting COVID impacts, these really terrible numbers are continuing to rise. It's pretty clear that we are undoubtedly in the middle of an unhappiness epidemic. But our solution is to hack happiness, to build a suite of complementary, positive technologies that together measurably solve adolescent unhappiness and disconnection. We've successfully designed and developed our first technology, a unique software platform that meaningfully reconnects young people back to their communities by simplifying and improving the community involvement and student volunteering processes, eliminating the core barriers that currently prevent young people from doing good in their communities. Essentially, our tool makes it easy to do local good.
So you have seen the demonstration in our intro video, but now I just wanted to go a little bit deeper into the benefits for our users and partners. So for students, it's an easy channel to locally volunteer. For schools, it's a central resource to connect their students to the community and do good. For nonprofits, they're able to post opportunities, customize them, and meet passionate students. For our corporate sponsors, they're able to be seen positively every day by thousands of students on the platform, which quite literally could become future customers and employees. So now just a quick look at our appealing platform. So this platform is live at projecthappy.world right now. So on the student side, they log in and they can search for local opportunities by zip code. On the nonprofit side, they log in, they see their opportunities and roles that they offer. They can make new ones with the gray button. They can customize them and see active student signups. So why volunteering? So the statistics here are actually pretty overwhelming. 95% of volunteers say that it enriches their sense of purpose in life. 94% say that it improves their mood. However, less than a quarter of students actually volunteer and far less do it consistently. Why is this? So to answer this question, we went on some pretty extensive customer discovery and surveyed over 200 students. We found two major insights. The first was that they were unsure how to volunteer. The second was that they thought that they were too busy. So we built a platform that directly eliminates these barriers and hesitations. Along the way, we spoke with many principals, nonprofit directors, corporate leaders, and PhD clinical psychologists to better understand the core problem that we were trying to solve. So from a student here at UNH, Ian Lidster, president of a fraternity, he said that this resource makes the organization and sharing of volunteer opportunities so much easier and honestly more fun for our nearly 100 brothers. This is huge. From a nonprofit, LaTanya Wallace, Executive Director, she said that our tool is valuable and simple for a nonprofit to use. From our current corporate sponsor right now, Chris Ploss at the Granite Group, he said that he proudly supports our mission and is even prouder to sponsor us.
So taking a look at our revenue model, we primarily monetize through strategic annual sponsorships with aligned corporations. We also rigorously pursue federal, state, and private grants. And we charge private high schools and private colleges on a per student basis. And really wanted to stress that this isn't just some idealistic idea. So far, we successfully signed our first corporate sponsor for the full price of $15,000. And we project to onboard 3 to 5 more this year. We also have won over $10,000 of grants due to the uniqueness of our solution. And now I want to take a look at some similar model success. And this is one of my favorite companies in the world, and that's Khan Academy. So Khan is a 501c3 nonprofit technology company, just like us. But Khan generated $80 million in revenue last year, primarily from mission-aligned sponsorships and corporate donations. Their platform and series of online courses was used by over 100 million people every single year. That impact is absolutely phenomenal. Khan Academy is measurably solving democratized quality education. And Project Happy is measurably solving adolescent unhappiness and disconnection. But where are we? So we've successfully built and launched our compelling technology platform. We have over 200 active student users using our platform today, and soon are onboarding entire fraternities, sororities, and student-based clubs. We also have over a dozen exciting local nonprofits using our platform, including the American Red Cross, the New Hampshire Food Bank, and the Christian McCullough Space Center. From the business development lens, we've successfully brought in $33,000 of real revenue across corporate sponsorships and grants. And we recently won the $5,000 Maurice Innovation Prize. Taking a brief look at our go-to-market. So we're launching at 15 New Hampshire public high schools this year through working with the Department of Education. We also are launching at 50 local nonprofits. But our grand vision within the next 2 years is to make Project Happy accessible and free to every public high school and university student in the state of New Hampshire. That's over 150,000 total students. We then will expand to other states and markets, launching at our first private high schools and private colleges, and eventually working towards licensing with the National Department of Education to democratize our tool nationally. We then launch our following technologies. So in 2023, we launched mVision, our second technology, which is a unique digital tool to help young people set more meaningful goals. In the following year, we launched LOA, or Library of Alexandria, which is a gamified technology platform that actually makes history exciting so our young people really learn from it. And this completes our vision for a suite of complementary, positive technologies that together measurably solve adolescent unhappiness and disconnection for millions of young people, effectively hacking happiness. And to take a brief look at our financials. So in 2023, you can see we launched our second technology, mVision. And in 2024, we launched LOA. And just to close here, I wanted to share that this is not just some competition idea. This is a real business. We are really building this. And I've been told that in the 34 years of the Holloway competition, a nonprofit has never won. And that's okay, because we're not a nonprofit. We're a scalable and innovative technology company who just so happens to prioritize our impact. We've developed and launched a compelling software platform with hundreds of active users and over a dozen organization partners. We have $33,000 of real revenue in the last 4 months. We consist of a talented and committed team of 4 and an extremely accomplished board of 6. We've successfully had our 501(c)(3) status approved. And most importantly, we have a clear pathway to meaningfully uplift hundreds of communities. This prize money will help us expand our impact of leading millions of young people to live happier and more connected lives. At this point, we'd love to open up for any questions.
Hey guys, great job. You certainly need the world to be a happier place. So you got the right commodity, if you will. I think it's wonderful to try to do this. Couple of things. I didn't know that a lot of young people are in a general state of malaise and were unhappy. I got to be honest with you. I didn't realize that. I mean, it's almost like I don't believe that statistic. It's really the world we live in. We got food, water,
Yeah.
we have education, and I just can't believe people are, adolescents, I should say, they're unhappy, maybe because they don't have any direction. I don't know. But I would agree with you that your concept in philanthropy and doing good for others does make you feel good. It makes you give you a purpose for living and being a sense of community. So I think that theme is, understood. And now, again, this is just in theory, and my point is that most people that are going to go and do this are people who are already energized. I'm looking at the other 20% that you say are unhappy, are in bed. How do we get them out of bed and get them to do this?
Sure.
So that's kind of like, how you get them out of bed to go do it, because I think the other 80% are going to be motivated.
Definitely.
So,
Yeah. So actually what's here in New Hampshire, for example, fraternities on campus, they already have to do volunteering. So, for, thousands of students through, fraternity and sorority life and through student-based clubs on campus, they already have to volunteer. And right now it's a pain. So they may only do the bare minimum, which is true in kind of the extensive customer discovery we've done. And also at schools. So there's many schools, public and private alike, that already have mandatory graduation requirements. So for us, we're coming in with this solution that's completely democratized, completely free, and it saves them hours. In 3 minutes, they can find an exciting opportunity they actually care about, and they can sign up for it and just show up. So again, we're taking this, kind of complicated process of doing good for young people and completely streamlining all in one place.
I can attest to that because I was in Sigma Beta when I was here. And I know that every year when the kids get together, they're always trying to find a project to do philanthropy because they are required to do that. So certainly I'm going to make sure they know about it and get it. Good job.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So I have two questions. First is the revenue model. So the revenue model is sponsorship based. So I'm a potential sponsor. What are you telling me? Why am I going to give you $15,000? First of all. Second of all, and is that a recurrent sponsorship? And what do I get for that? And the second part of that question is, so you're a 501c3, but you're for profit. You just have 501c3 status for those that are giving you a donation. You got to walk me through this.
Sure thing. Yeah, sure thing. So we are a nonprofit. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. But just like Khan Academy, we're a scalable, innovative technology company as well. So they do $80 million in revenue as a nonprofit. So they are a 501c3.
What are you doing with the $5.9 million in year 3 or 4?
Yeah. So
Are you redeploying those charitable contributions?
So again, yeah, the way that we're building it is building quality software is not cheap. And again, we're trying to scale this to an impact of, nationally. Right. So the way that we're working through that is extensively having those conversations of what the most effective things we can do with it are. So our mission is to help young people live happier and more connected lives. So everything we do, all of the funds that we get from our corporate sponsors and our other revenue models as shown on the screen there, all of that goes towards optimizing our technology to help young people live happier lives.
So I'm a sponsor. Why am I sponsoring?
Sure thing. Definitely. Yeah. So
what am I sponsoring?
Yeah. So you're an annual sponsor on the platform, and that's the real value proposition where you're being seen by thousands of local young people who could be, future customers at the Tuscan Kitchen, right? They could go and eat meals there, or they could be future employees as well. So that alone, from that lens of being seen positively, and that's a whole nother aspect where it's actually they're seen in an uplifting light by thousands of local young people in that same community, it is absolutely massive.
Thank you.
How did you arrive? What was the inspiration for this topic? I really do believe that you're over a worthy target here that is very, very much in the zeitgeist. How did you arrive at this inspiration?
Sure. So for me, I grew up volunteering, and I really got the benefit firsthand of feeling really just getting connected and helping others and feeling that firsthand, like there's real merit to that. And I saw that a lot of my friends, unfortunately, didn't volunteer and necessarily weren't involved in their communities. And, some of them may have been going through, depression, anxiety. And I really believe, and the empirical statistics back it, as we showed earlier, like volunteering is a real solution to help young people get connected and live measurably happier lives. And it's scalable.
So I have a slightly different question, but somewhat related to the one that Joe asked. You've talked about expanding beyond New Hampshire. I want to hear a little bit about your plan to do that because you talk about partnerships. Well, there's 26,727 high schools, public high schools in the US. So that's a lot of partnerships. And when I think about sponsorships, a lot of sponsorships are local. Now, you named some big ones behind Khan Academy. So how do you balance that between needing the local sponsorships? How do you roll it out beyond New Hampshire? And how do you go after those more significant national sponsorships that you're going to need to keep this thing humming?
Sure. Yeah. So we'd love to answer that. And really the way that we're doing it is by the massive impact we're having. So we're using technology to have an outsized impact. And there's a little bit, more on the process about that. But specifically, again, we're working with leading partners. Khan Academy has done this in their model through working with Google is one of those, right? And their goal is just to help young people get more connected. So, to quality education. And so what we're doing in that same light is having a maximized outsized impact, and we're actually using empirical statistics to back it. So as we're going to these sponsors, we're showing them hey, by you making this investment in us, we are helping, 10,000 students or 15,000 students become significantly happier and more connected. And then we can track those hours that they did. So the sponsor can actually see how many young people they helped get connected to the community.
I really like the way you use Khan Academy as a comparison. I think that communicates a lot. My understanding of where their launch energy came from was their relationship with the Gates Foundation. Who's your Gates Foundation? Who's out there that's big, that has a national or international profile, that is focused on improving mental health of youth?
Definitely. So from the corporate sponsor lens, a lot of the larger employers, again, they're seeing some of these issues where they're having, employees who are needing to take sick days because they're having mental health issues. So if we can come to them and show that this solution is helping, measurably help get their students through, live happier, more connected lives, we think that's really going to have a significant impact. And the sponsors in the conversations we've had with them have said and kind of gave feedback to that point of we're being seen the impact here. Of helping them more happy. I'm not sure if that fully answered your question.
I was wondering more if you've been able to discover sources of philanthropy that have been earmarked toward the problem you're looking to solve in the space that you're looking to play in. Corporations, you will get sponsorships. I don't doubt that at all, but a real committed pool of money to solving the problem specifically.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for reiterating that. So our end hope, again, is to work with the National Department of Education. So I actually have a meeting with the Commissioner of the New Hampshire Department of Education this week. And we're hoping that through working with, starting on a pilot scale of the state of New Hampshire to democratize throughout the state first. And then after that, working and showing that same success that we've had to a national scale. So that could very well be you look at Google Drive, you look at some of these other massive widespread resources that have been democratized through working with the National Department of Education. And our hope is that we'll be able to mirror that through, whether it's a $300 million contract, whatever that ends up being. Again, if we can measurably show, as we have, the profound impact this has on helping young people, we believe that this is something that the National Department of Education would long-term want to adapt. And in the short term, again, it's local employers, it's folks who want to be seen in the positive light by local employees. It's the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation is another group. And yeah, that's
so
a plan.
I totally get the local thing, and a lot of volunteer opportunities are very local in nature. So I'm going to go back to my question about how do you take this national, because with that many high schools and that many locations, municipalities across the country, that's a lot of partnerships to manage. How do you plan to do that?
So yeah, I can take this one. So essentially our product works heavily on this idea of geolocation. So you have a high school in Minnesota, New Hampshire, Florida, everything that our product is doing for them is relevant to that zip code and that location. So for example, your question earlier was sponsors. If we have a sponsor in Minnesota, why would we advertise them in New Hampshire? Why would we show them to people in New Hampshire? We want to really use this idea of geolocation and really use the power behind that.
Okay, that part I didn't understand. So you've got a geolocation part of your software.
Absolutely. It's vital for the functionality.
Great,
yeah.
That helps.
Yep.
So we do a lot of philanthropy. Okay. Every single philanthropic check I've ever written, I looked someone in their eyes.
Yeah.
And I heard them speak to me, not through some geolocation, not through, I think what you're talking about is a sales function. And then I guess the bigger question is, how are you expanding this sales function? When you think about 26,000 high schools, you know, when you think about the local sponsorship in those geographical regions, someone is going to have to go talk to, you know, whoever it may be, whether it be on the national side or the regional side. You're going to have to speak to these decision makers, and you know, it's a $15,000 or more, you know, annual commitment. I don't think that's automated. I don't think that sales process is automated. That's just me.
Yeah, so that's like, that model is really effective at a local, you know, New Hampshire, New England level, right? And that allows us to get to that scale where you can, you know, Tuscan brands, for example, right? We want to have a strong impact here in New Hampshire. So you can sponsor specifically for New Hampshire. But again, in the future, these corporate sponsorships are to basically get us to the next point where we can scale greater. So that's through working with the private high schools and private colleges who are paying us to use our platform. That's through the expanded grants. And again, a question earlier about, you know, who would fund these. There's massive, you know, National Science Foundation grants and other grants that are well aligned. And we've actually won a couple already. And I'm thinking that's another way that we'll continue to expand.
Do you understand the human power that's going to be required to do this and how much that costs to do it? I guess is the question I'm asking you. As you expand your distribution and you expand your revenue model to get to the level of revenue, I think it was 13 million or whatever it was. How many, I guess, sponsorship advocates, salespeople, call them whatever you want to call them, how many of those is that? And how is that, how much does that cost?
Sure thing. Yeah. So we have on our financial statements, and the clicker's slow, so I'm trying to get there as good as I can for you. But on our financial statements, we detail exactly how the numbers are broken down.
Okay.
So again, it's not all just through corporate sponsorships at the beginning. That's a really helpful resource. But here we are. So as you can see, the corporate sponsors, we have around 13 in 2024, and these numbers again go up over time. So right now it's $15,000. That's for the initial, you know, where we are now. And again, we've successfully got our first corporate sponsor for $15,000. We're going to continue to up the prices over time, so you get more bang for your buck, which is what you're talking about in those sales efforts. And again, we have, you know, through working with the private high schools, through working with the private grants, and these are already established models that we're already doing. So the sponsorships, you can see on that top line there how much they go up to. And again, that's, you know, $2 million in year 5. That's not some, you know, ridiculously immeasurable number. That's something that we think is very, very achievable, particularly being, you know, 5 years down the line. And again, that the total revenue number, the, you know, $7 million, this is only, you know, that's less than half of it.
So a couple of thoughts, maybe for you, as you're thinking about local, right? One of the problems you said you were trying to overcome is that some students don't feel they have time. So if I'm a student, the time I'm finally going to have to maybe do some volunteering is maybe while I'm on vacation. So as you're building your model, as the students, I think you can search by zip code where you want to volunteer. So you don't necessarily think of edge cases. It's not just the students volunteering in their own zip codes. They might be volunteering when they take a trip to California or Florida or something. That is something you can pitch to the sponsors, because now you can say, hey, Tuscan brands, we've got people coming up here from Florida. Like, wouldn't their family want to go to vacation or go to dinner, you know, or go shopping there? You can pitch how you talk to those sponsors, that it's not just getting eyes out there. It's a tax deductible donation. I think that's something that wasn't articulated, but I think it is.
Yes. But
it's also an opportunity to attract new people to that. I do want to pick at one thing, though, that's not sitting well with me. Why would you make a decision to give this away to public schools, but why would you charge the private schools?
Yeah. So again, the fact that we're already offering a tool completely democratized to millions of young people is a huge positive impact. To make the model sustainable. And again, we do have the corporate sponsor lens, and we are rigorously pursuing grants, but by having that third, you know, aspect and having the private schools, again, and I really want to stress, it's extremely inexpensive. It's $1 a month for private schools to use it for their students. So if you're paying, you know, $50,000 to go to Dairy Field, this is going to cost you $12 a year. So when we say charge, we're not talking about some, you know, super significant number. It's $12 a year.
Cool. I think Nick's going to cut us off in a minute, but then flip your lens too. So if I'm a nonprofit, which I am, I want to be part of this because I want to attract some volunteers, but you probably want to work through some use cases of, as a nonprofit, sometimes the activity I planned has to move dates because it's an outdoor activity. How are you going to notify the people that have signed up so that the students have a good experience? And the other thing is you have to hit critical mass with the nonprofits putting opportunities out there. Otherwise, people are going to come to it and be like, yeah, this is the time I can volunteer and there's nothing available. So I feel like you've got to measure your balance point between getting people to sign up to use it, as well as nonprofits to sign up to actually post their volunteer opportunities.
Definitely. Yeah. So that's a problem we've faced so far. And the way that we've done it was we focus on onboarding organizations first. So we focus on working with nonprofits, as we've done. We have over 14 nonprofits actively using our platform, actively posting opportunities on it. And then once we have those opportunities posted, we then can share it with our student population who can find those opportunities, sign up for them, and get involved in that way. So that's the way that we've done it so far, and it's worked. So we're going to continue to do it.